Welcome back to Startup Street. AUM Ventures is doubling down on India's deep tech opportunity with a 750 crore rupee India Innovation Fund 2 after raising 225 crore rupees in the first close, with over 65% coming from international LPs. The fund will focus on space tech, semiconductors, defense, AI, robotics and advanced manufacturing, with a strong emphasis on IP-led companies that can compete globally. Chetan Mehta, founding partner AUM Ventures, joins us more on this, and also with me, I'm my colleague Arundhati. Chetan, welcome to Startup Street. You have a 750 crore rupee target and have closed 225 crore rupees so far. How quickly do you expect to reach the final close? And are you seeing enough LP appetite to get there? And how much of that capital do you expect to deploy over the next 12 to 18 months?
Thank you for having me. I think it's a great time right now in terms of what we are seeing in the Indian market in terms of founders really building and going after core deep tech and innovation-led solutions. So I think we are there to support innovation coming from India and also work with founders very closely to take them global. As far as our fund is concerned, I think we've got a great response, and I have a strong interest not only from India but also globally. We plan to wrap up the fund by end of this year and plan to deploy as early as this month. Given that we have done the first close, so and we have a great pipeline of companies working with some very strong founders. So looking to start writing checks by end of this month.
Looking to start writing those checks by the end of this month. And there is great appetite for deep tech companies in India. On this show alone, we've spoken to two more investors before you who have funds for deep tech startups. So you are investing in 25 to 30 companies over 5 years. Does that mean roughly 25 to 30 crore rupees of total fund capital per company once follow-ons are concluded? How much are you actually reserving for follow-on rounds as well?
Actually, we have a different strategy where we want to keep kind of backing companies right up to Series A or even Series B, and that's what we've done in Fund 1 as well. So we have a larger kind of a 50% reserve pool to keep backing the winners coming out. So there have been companies in Fund 1 where we were the first investors, and we've invested right up to Series B. So therefore, we like to partner with companies and work with founders as co-founders in that journey, support them, not only in India, but leverage on our global network to see how we can help these companies scale up globally. See, because, deep tech companies at the end of the day have to be globally competitive from day zero. So therefore, working with the founders to develop that global mindset, making sure that, how we can open doors for them in international markets, and also, help them scale up and also fundraise from global funds. So I guess deep tech requires a different lens. Of course, patient capital is required, but also the right strategy to help and become globally competitive businesses is very important.
Absolutely. But where is the opportunity? You're looking across space tech, semiconductors, defense, AI, robotics, like I mentioned earlier. In fact, you were an early investor in Skyroot. What's the next Skyroot? What is the next category where you think India could produce a globally significant company?
I think space is still as an area very early. So, we feel that there are many companies doing niche, space related solutions which can be, globally competitive. I think semiconductor is something which we have been looking at very closely, and we have made investments in Fund 1 as well. So we have a thesis there and looking at, a lot of companies in the semicon space. Defense is obviously, there's a huge market opportunity. But again, we are being a bit cautious there because we still want to see how the government procurement cycles are kind of panning out. But again, it's a big opportunity there. AI obviously is getting mainstream. We are looking at more vertical AI plays to see, founders coming with some core deep sector expertise and trying to leverage AI to build, ground up solutions. So I think, these are the, key areas, but also, related areas are, energy or even biotech. With the advancement in AI, now it's very fast to kind of take your idea from a lab to a market.
Sure.
And, we want to kind of, back such research-led, startups also, which we are seeing coming out of, incubation centers. In fact, just as we speak, today we have launched our India Deep Spark program. This is a flagship program to attract, the top quality entrepreneurs in the country, building in these core deep tech areas. So we are inviting applications from deep tech startups to kind of come in, and we want to work with them very early from that early stage and help
Absolutely.
them. Yeah.
And if you could tell us in 10 seconds, we're running out of time, what sort of returns is this fund expected to generate for your investors? And Deeptech can take years and substantial capital before commercialization, right? So how do you sort of balance the long gestation periods with returns?
No, I think deep tech requires patient capital. So therefore, the investors that we are coming in are also informed investors who understand the level of investment which is required. But I think India has the opportunity where we can even deliver a 10x fund kind of outcomes to investors now, which we've seen had that happen in China and US 15, 20 years back. I think this is India's time, and yet in India we can deliver very strong returns and large
Okay.
outcomes in such deep tech companies.
All right. On that note, it's time for us to wrap up this conversation. Many thanks, Chetan, for your time today on Startup Street, and wish you the very best.
Thank you so much. Happy Independence Day to all.
Yes,
Thanks.
same to you.
Thank you.